The morning rush inside Starport Diner was louder than usual. Ships from 5 different sectors had arrived within the last hour, spilling travelers into the wide glass halls of the station. Voices of every kind echoed across the metal walls. Humans chatted over steaming cups. Traders from distant worlds counted credits. A pair of engineers argued about a broken thruster panel. The diner air smelled of hot food, engine smoke, and something faintly sweet coming from the dessert counter. At a small booth beside the window sat a quiet human man with short dark hair, broad shoulders, and tired eyes. Across from him sat his twin daughters, both young, bright, and full of questions about everything they saw.
Oh.
They were excited because the window beside their booth showed a clear view of the traffic lanes outside. Ships drifted past like glowing birds against the morning light. The man lifted a cup of warm tea and watched the twins press their faces to the glass. Their life on the station was not easy. He worked long shifts repairing hull plates and sold small tools on the side to keep them fed. Even then, he always tried to give the girls some part of the day that felt peaceful. The diner was their small place of calm, a place where no alarms rang and no ships demanded his attention. The twins sat together, whispering about a silver shuttle that glided past the window. One asked if the shuttle might belong to a royal family. The other said it probably carried treasure. The man smiled at their imagination. He had been forced into adulthood before he was ready. He wanted his daughters to stay children as long as possible. Their food arrived. Warm bread, soft eggs, fresh fruit from the hydro farms. The twins clapped their hands and dug in. The man took a slow breath and allowed himself to relax. For a moment, the busy world seemed far away. Then the air changed. It began as a soft silence that crept along the floor. One by one, customers lowered their voices. Some leaned away from their plates. A group of mechanics stopped laughing. A family of tourists turned their heads toward the entrance. Something was happening near the doorway. Something small and quiet, yet powerful enough to steal the attention of the entire room. The man sensed it too. He lifted his eyes from the teacup and looked toward the front of the diner. A young alien girl stood at the doorway. Her skin was a soft blue color that shimmered faintly under the diner lights. Her hair was long and pale, tied loosely behind her head. She carried herself with care, leaning heavily on a pair of metal crutches. One of her legs was missing, replaced with a simple support brace that ended at the knee. The brace looked worn and scratched as if it had been repaired many times. The girl's eyes scanned the room with fear and hope mixed together. She looked more like someone searching for safety than someone seeking a meal. Her thin arms shook slightly as she tried to shift her weight. She took a careful step forward. The metal tips of her crutches tapped softly against the floor. People watched her, but did not speak. Some looked away quickly as if they did not want to be caught staring. Others only stared harder. Refugees had become common in recent months, but she was different. Younger, smaller, more fragile. There was a quiet story hiding behind her eyes, a story of loss, fear, and long travel. The man watched her. Something inside him tightened. The twins noticed the silence too. They turned their heads and saw the girl. Their faces softened with curiosity. The alien girl moved between tables with slow, careful steps. Her breath came in short bursts. Her shoulders were tense. She did not seem used to so many eyes on her. Every movement seemed painful. Every shift of her crutches sounded louder than it should. She paused near a family of humans, but the mother pulled her child closer. The girl lowered her head and kept moving. She tried the next table, but the people there refused to make eye contact. She stepped back, nearly losing her balance. The room felt colder now. The twins pressed closer to their father. When the girl reached the center of the diner, she froze. The weight of the entire room pressed on her. Her fingers tightened around the crutch handles. Her eyes moved from face to face, searching for even one kind look. Finding none, she swallowed and looked toward the floor. The man felt a sharp ache in his chest. He remembered how it felt when he first arrived at the station with 2 small children and no help. He remembered the stares, the whispers, the quiet judgment. He had survived it. This girl looked like someone who might not. With great effort, the girl started moving again. Her steps were uneven, slow, and full of strain. Her face twisted slightly every time she shifted her weight. The twins watched her closely. One of them whispered something to her sister, and both seemed worried. The girl looked toward the man's booth. She saw the twins first, their gentle faces, their open eyes. They did not pull away. They did not turn aside. Simply looked at her with the kind of innocence that made her chest rise with hope. She took one more step and nearly fell. Her crutch slipped for a moment, but she caught herself. A low gasp ran across the diner. People stared but did nothing. The man stood quickly and moved around the table, but the girl regained balance before he could reach her. She looked up at him, startled by his sudden concern. The twins looked between their father and the girl as if waiting for something important to happen. The girl took a breath. Her voice was small, soft, and trembling. She spoke as if she had practiced the words many times, but still feared the answer. "Shh," she said, "can I join you?" Her voice carried across the silent diner. Every ear caught it. Every head turned. It was not a loud voice, but it held a weight that made the whole room still. The question was simple, but the fear behind it was deep. She stood on one leg, leaning on her crutches, hoping someone would take pity. Her eyes showed she expected rejection. She expected the man to look away like all the others. She expected the twins to hide behind him. She expected nothing good. But the room also seemed shocked that she dared ask. It was rare for a refugee to approach anyone directly. Rarer for a child to do it alone. The silence stretched long, heavy, and tight. The man looked at her. Really looked. Saw the worn brace, the thin arms, the trembling fingers, the deep exhaustion in her eyes. He saw someone who had carried too much pain for her young age. He saw a traveler who needed one simple thing, a place to sit, a moment of safety. His daughters leaned forward slightly. Their faces were full of worry and hope. They waited for their father to answer. The whole diner waited. The man felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. He knew that whatever he said next would spread through the room like fire. In a place where fear and distrust traveled faster than truth, small actions became loud stories. He opened his mouth to speak, but before the words came, something inside him shifted. A small memory rose, a memory of standing alone with two crying children, asking for help, and finding none. He remembered how it felt when one stranger finally stepped forward and offered him a chair. That single moment had changed his path. He had never forgotten it. He looked at the girl again, and he looked at his daughters, then at the room around him. People watched with wide eyes. Some whispered, some waited for him to refuse. Some expected him to push her away, but he did not look away. He stepped closer. His voice was calm, steady, and warm. "Duh." His answer shocked everyone. The diner stayed frozen for a long breath after the young alien girl asked her question. It felt as if every sound in the entire station had paused. Even the hum of engines from ships outside the window seemed to fade. The girl waited, holding her crutches tight, her single leg shaking slightly under her weight. She did not blink. The twins watched her with wide eyes, sitting still for the first time that morning. The human father looked at the child in front of him. Her request was simple, yet heavy with fear. People nearby leaned in, pretending not to stare, but very clearly listening. A server froze beside a beverage machine. A group of pilots at a corner booth stopped mid-conversation. The man could almost feel the tension pushing against his back. He knew what most people expected him to say. Refugees caused trouble, they claimed. Refugees slowed the station. Refugees attracted danger. People had grown cold during the last months. It was easier for them to look away than offer kindness. But the man did not look away. He looked directly at the girl, seeing not her missing leg or her pale blue skin, but the exhaustion in her eyes. Her hands trembled slightly on the crutches. She had probably been turned away from every table she approached. The twins glanced at their father. They were not afraid of the girl. They were worried for her. Their faces were open and honest, waiting to hear what he would say. The man stepped aside from the booth. He pulled out the empty seat, extended his hand toward it, and said in a calm, gentle voice, "You do not need to ask. You can join us." His words moved across the diner like a ripple of heat. A shocked silence swept through the room. A trader dropped his fork. A tourist inhaled sharply. The server blinked as if unsure whether she heard correctly. The alien girl stared at the man, unsure if she understood what he said. For a moment, she stood completely still. Her breath hitched slightly. She had expected rejection. She had expected another cold shoulder. She had expected the same answer she had been given her entire journey. Instead, he had welcomed her. Her shoulders lowered, as if a great weight had fallen away. She nodded slowly, unable to speak at first. The twins smiled with soft delight. One of them slid slightly to the side to make more room. The other moved her plate closer to herself, as if preparing to share. The girl tried to step forward but struggled. Her crutch wobbled under her hand. The man moved quickly, placing a steady hand near her arm. He did not touch her without permission. He only stayed close enough to catch her if she fell. She looked at him with gratitude and continued moving. She lowered herself carefully into the seat. Her crutches clattered softly as she leaned them against the booth. The twins watched with gentle concern. The girl sat upright but with a look of deep relief. She whispered a quiet thank you. People around them still stared. Some shook their heads, some frowned. A few looked moved, but afraid to show support. One customer whispered sharply to another, complaining that humans should not mix with refugees. Another commented that taking in a stranger could attract trouble. The twins heard the whispers, but chose to ignore them. The man sat back down beside them. The diner did not return to normal. The tension still hung in the air. But the booth felt warm and safe. The girl kept her hands on her lap, unsure of what to do next. The man gave her a moment, then spoke gently. "What is your name?" he asked. She hesitated, then answered in a soft, almost fragile voice. "My name is Ari." It was a short name, easy to say, yet full of history she carried alone. One of the twins leaned forward. "My name's Lyra," she said proudly. The other added quickly, "And I am Kira." Ari looked at them with surprise. No one had offered their name to her since she left her home. It felt strange but warm. She bowed her head slightly in greeting. The server finally approached their table, still tense from the silence around her. She asked in a low voice if the girl wanted something to eat. Ari froze, unsure if she should accept. She reached for the pocket on her shirt where she kept her last few credits, but the man raised a hand gently. "I will cover it," he said. Ari shook her head quickly. "I do not want to be a burden," she whispered. Her voice cracked. The twins exchanged worried looks. The man spoke in the same calm tone. "You are not a burden. You are a guest at our table." Ari stared at him as if she had never heard those words before. Maybe she really had not. She lowered her gaze and nodded. The server left to bring food. Ari's shoulders relaxed, though the tension in her eyes did not completely fade. She held her hands together, twisting her fingers slightly. The twins noticed and tried to make her feel safe. Lyra asked, "Where are you coming from?" Ari hesitated again. Her voice trembled. "I am from the outpost near the border. I was attacked. There was fire everywhere. People ran. I lost my family, lost my leg. I was taken to a medical post, but no one could care for me for long. I reached the station because someone told me help might be here, but I do not know where to go now." The twins listened quietly, their eyes soft. They'd never heard such a story from someone their own age. Ari's voice stayed quiet, as if speaking too loudly might make the memories return. The man listened with a heavy heart. He remembered moments of fear from his own past, moments when he did not know how to protect his family. Ari was a reminder of all the lives broken by conflict. Before he could speak, a sudden shadow fell over the table. A uniformed station guardian stood beside them. His boots were heavy. His armor shone under the lights. His face was hard and unreadable. He looked directly at Ari with a cold, sharp stare. Ari stiffened. Her hands shook. The twins shrank back slightly. The entire diner sensed the tension returning. The guardian spoke in a firm voice. "You, refugee girl, stand up." Ari froze. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. The man looked at the guardian. "She is a child," he said calmly. The guardian ignored him. "She must come with me. She does not have clearance to stay in this section. She will be moved." Moved. The word carried a heavy meaning. Ari had heard it before. It usually meant being taken to a holding unit, or worse. Her breath came fast. Her hands gripped the seat. The man stood slowly from his booth. He did not raise his voice. He only placed himself between Ari and the guardian. "You will not take her," he said. The diner went silent again, more silent than before. The guardian narrowed his eyes. "Do not interfere. The twins clutched each other, terrified for Ari. Ari herself shook, unsure if she would be dragged away. The man did not step aside. The room held its breath as the tension grew thick and sharp. The Guardian reached for his communicator. But before he could activate it, another voice cut through the air. A calm, commanding voice. A voice that made even the Guardian freeze. Everyone turned toward the entrance. Something unexpected was about to happen. The voice that entered the diner was calm, steady, and held the weight of authority. Every person who heard it turned toward the entrance at the same time. Even the Guardian stopped mid-motion, his fingers hovering near his communicator. Ari held her breath. The twins clung to each other, unsure if this new arrival meant help or danger. A tall figure stepped through the doorway. It was a woman in a long station coat, with silver lines on the sleeves. She carried no helmet, no armor, yet the respect she commanded was clear. People straightened in their chairs. A pair of pilots quickly stood. A group of traders lowered their eyes. It was clear she held a high position. This was the station commander. She scanned the room slowly, her calm gaze passing over every table, every whisper, every frozen motion. Then her eyes landed on the Guardian standing over the human family's booth. Her expression did not change, yet the air seemed to tighten. The Guardian straightened quickly. "Commander, the refugee girl is in violation of Section 7. She must be relocated." The commander did not answer right away. She looked at Ari, her crutches beside her, her shoulders shaking, her breath unsteady. Ari tried to sit still. She tried to look brave. She looked like a child moments away from breaking again. The man stood between Ari and the Guardian, his posture calm but firm. He did not speak, but his meaning was clear. The commander stepped closer, her voice slow and measured. "Relocation for what reason?" The Guardian cleared his throat. "She entered without approval. She does not have station clearance. She is not registered. And she approached patrons without permission." The twins gasped softly. Ari's eyes filled with fear again. The Guardian continued, trying to support his claim. "She is a risk. She must be contained before she becomes a larger issue." The commander's eyes hardened. "She is a child. Be careful with your words." A few customers murmured in agreement. Others stayed silent, afraid to be involved. The Guardian shifted uncomfortably under the commander's steady gaze. The commander turned to Ari. Her voice softened, becoming something closer to human warmth. "Child, who brought you here?" Ari swallowed and shook her head. "I came by myself." The commander looked surprised, then troubled. "You traveled alone? No escort? No guardian? No aid worker?" Ari nodded once. Her fingers gripped the fabric of her shirt. "I was told there might be help here, but no one wants me in the medical division. They say there is no space. They say I have nothing to offer. I do not know where to go now." The commander's jaw tightened. She looked at the Guardian with clear disapproval. "Is this the treatment she has received since arriving?" The Guardian hesitated, then tried to justify himself. "Commander, the rules are strict. We do not have the resources for every refugee who lands here. We must follow proper protocol. If she is allowed to stay freely, others will expect the same." The commander stepped closer. Her voice lowered just enough to be dangerous. "Our station was built to protect life. All life. Not only those who fit a convenient rule." The room held a quiet wave of tension. A few people dared to nod. Others looked ashamed. The twins watched in awe as the commander defended Ari so openly. Ari lowered her eyes, not used to anyone speaking for her. Then the commander addressed the man. "You stood against a guardian for this child." Why, the man hesitated. He was not used to speaking in front of authority. But the moment demanded truth. He looked at Ari, then at his daughters, then back at the commander, because she was scared. Because everyone looked away. Because no child should face danger alone. His voice was calm and steady. Every word carried sincerity, not pride. The twins nodded beside him, confirming his statement with their presence. The commander listened carefully. She saw the fear still trembling in Ari's shoulders. She saw the protective way the twins leaned toward her. She saw the determination in the man's stance, but then her eyes shifted. She noticed something the others had missed. In the corner of the diner, near the far wall, sat a man in dark traveling clothes. He had been there since before Ari arrived. He watched the scene with a blank expression. No surprise. no worry, no emotion. His eyes did not move from Ari. He did not touch his food. He did not shift in his seat. The commander narrowed her gaze. That man was not a normal customer. She knew the signs, the stillness, the empty plate, the cold eyes. She had seen people like him before. People who followed vulnerable refugees. People who waited for the right moment to take them. She turned back to the Guardian. "Did you check if she was being followed?" The Guardian stiffened. There was no report. "Did you check?" she asked again. He hesitated. "No," the commander's voice sharpened. "You focused on removing the child, not protecting her." A faint shock rippled through the room. Customers whispered. The Guardian's face grew tense. Ari's breath grew unstable as the commander's words dug deeper into a fear she already carried. She whispered quietly, "There was someone behind me when I came through the docks. I thought it was only my imagination." The commander's eyes moved back to the man in the corner. Did not flinch, did not react. He only stared at Ari with the same blank, cold look. The commander made her voice firm. "Guard the doors immediately. No one enters or leaves without my order." The Guardian obeyed at once. 2 assistant guards rushed to cover the exits. The man in the corner finally shifted, but only slightly, his hands lowered under the table out of sight. The commander raised a hand. "Do not move." His hands stopped. One of the twins grabbed her sister's arm in fear. Ari pressed herself against the booth. The man stepped in front of her to shield her view. The commander stepped closer to the suspicious man. "State your identity." He did not respond. "State your purpose on this station." No answer. The commander's voice lowered. "Why are you watching this child?" Still silence. The tension had become so thick that even the hum of engines outside felt distant. The diners held their breath. The twins pressed against each other. Ree clutched the edge of her seat. The man in the corner finally spoke. His voice was quiet, too calm, almost empty. "She is wanted." The commander's brow tightened. "Wanted by who?" The man answered with a slow, unsettling clarity. "By those who lost everything because of her bloodline." Ari went pale. The room erupted into soft whispers. The twins froze. The father shifted closer to Ari. The commander stepped forward. "You will explain now." The man slowly rose from his chair. His hands stayed in sight. His movements were slow and controlled. There was something dangerous about him, something that made customers lean away. He spoke again. "She carries a name that once held power. Her family ruled a border planet. When the attacks came, enemies claimed her people betrayed them. They want her as proof. As a message, as a reminder of the cost." Ari began to shake violently. "I did not do anything. I only ran. I only wanted safety." The commander's face softened for a moment before turning cold again. "No one touches this child. No one removes her. She is under my protection." The man in the corner tilted his head slightly. "You cannot protect her from everyone." The father stepped forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with the commander. "She is not alone now." A spark of tension filled the air. The twins grabbed Ari's hands tightly. Ari looked at them with frightened eyes, but a small light of hope flickered inside her. The commander nodded once, then raised her hand to the guards. "Take him into custody. Question him. Do not let him near the child again." The guards moved fast. The man did not resist. He let them place restraints on his wrists. As he was led past Ari, he looked at her with the same cold expression, but he said nothing. He was taken out of the diner, and the doors locked behind him. The quiet that followed was thick and heavy. The danger had been real. Ari had been followed. The Guardian had almost handed her to someone dangerous without knowing, or without caring. The customers realized how close they had come to watching a child be taken. Ari lowered her face into her hands. Tears slipped between her fingers. "I thought he would find me again. Thought I would never be safe." The father sat beside her and spoke gently. "You are safe here." The commander nodded. "You will stay that way." But outside the diner doors, more shadows were moving. More eyes were watching. More threats had awakened now that Ari had been found. This was only the beginning. The diner remained quiet, even after the dangerous man had been taken away in restraints. People tried to return to their food, but their hands shook and their eyes kept drifting back to Ari. The twins stayed close to her, both holding her hands. The father stood behind her like a quiet shield, watching every movement near the door. The station commander stayed near the booth, her presence strong and steady. The guardian, who had tried to take Ari earlier, stood to the side. His face was tense and slightly pale. The commander had corrected him in front of the entire diner. He kept glancing toward Ari with something between shame and confusion. He had followed protocol for so long that he had forgotten how to truly look at someone who needed help. Ari kept trembling. She stared at the table as if afraid to lift her head. Her breath came uneven. She whispered softly, almost as if speaking to herself, "I did not know he followed me. I only ran and hoped he lost my trail. Thought the station would be safe." The father crouched beside her. "You are safe now." Ari shook her head. "Many want me caught. Some say my family caused the war. Some want revenge. Some want to use me. I never wanted any of this. I only wanted a place where no one would chase me." The twins hugged her gently. Their small hands tried to offer comfort that most adults had failed to give. Lyra whispered softly, "You can stay with us." Ari's breath caught. Her eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them away with the back of her hand. The commander observed the children quietly. She then turned to the father. "I need to speak to you." Away from the booth, he nodded and followed her a few steps away, still staying close enough to watch Ari. The commander kept her voice steady and low. The man who watched her was not working alone. People like him travel in groups. They move quietly through stations, searching for refugees who hold value to the wrong people. If he knew she was here, others might know too. The father clenched his jaw slightly. "What do they want from her?" The commander folded her arms. Her family was powerful. When the border conflict erupted, her planet was caught between two forces. Rumors say her family refused to support either side. That made them enemies to both. Some groups believe her bloodline still matters. Some want to punish her for what they think was betrayal. Others want to use her as a symbol for propaganda or negotiation. The father's voice grew firmer. "But she is only a child. Oh, she has suffered enough. She lost her leg, her home, her family. She deserves peace." The commander nodded with a thoughtful look. "She has been running for too long, and she has been alone for too long. Children should not face such danger." The father looked back toward the booth. The twins sat close to Ari, talking to her softly, trying to distract her from fear. Ari's face had softened, but the sadness remained in her eyes. The commander followed his gaze. They already trust each other. He said nothing, but the truth was clear. The commander continued, "There is something else. When she said she came from the border outpost, I remembered an old report. There was mention of one child who survived the fire on the planet's council building. The attackers believed no one escaped. But a fragment of the report suggested that a small girl was carried out by a guard who gave his life to shield her. The description matches her. If she is that child, then many will come for her. More than just criminals. Even political groups might try to seize her." The father's eyes tightened with worry. "What do you plan to do?" The commander did not answer right away. Instead, she looked around the diner. She studied the walls, the customers, the fears still floating in the air. She studied Ari again, who now listened quietly to the twins, telling her a story about a ship shaped like a giant bird. "I plan to protect her," the commander said finally. The father nodded. "Then I will help." The commander raised a brow. "You already risked yourself once. I would do it again." The commander studied him carefully. Oh, she saw the quiet strength in his stance, the calm courage in his voice. Does she? Many people spoke of helping others, but very few acted when danger stood right in front of them. He had acted without hesitation. She looked again toward the booth. "She chose your table for a reason. Children sense when a person is safe." He did not respond, but his eyes softened. The commander stepped closer. "I need your help to keep her hidden for now. Moving her to the upper security division may attract attention. People in those halls talk. Word spreads fast. I want her somewhere quiet and safe until I can confirm her identity." The father spoke without any doubt. "She can stay with me and the twins." The commander paused. "Are you sure? This could bring danger?" He nodded. "It will be safer than leaving her alone, and safer than placing her in a crowded place where enemies might look." The commander took a slow breath. "Your home is small. Your work shifts are long. It will be difficult. I will manage." The commander saw something in him that made her trust his answer. Ari looked up then, noticing the father and commander speaking. A thread of fear ran through her eyes as if she worried she would be taken away from the only people who had shown kindness. The commander walked back to the booth and crouched slightly to meet Ari at eye level. Her voice was calm but warm. "Child, how would you feel staying with this family for a little while?" Ari blinked. "Stay with them, yes," the commander said. "Just until we make sure no one will harm you." Ari looked at the father, then at the twins. The twins nodded eagerly, both smiling with soft encouragement. Ari swallowed gently. "I want to stay," she whispered. The father gave a small smile. "Then you will stay." Some customers murmured quietly, surprised that a refugee child would be taken in so easily. Others nodded, touched by the man's courage. The guardian stepped forward, his voice hesitant. "Commander, is this wise?" She turned to him with a steady gaze. "It is right." The guardian lowered his head, unable to argue. The father returned to the table. He gently helped Ari gather her crutches, making sure she did not strain herself. She tried to stand, but her leg trembled. He carefully supported her without touching her unless she allowed it. She leaned on him just enough to keep her balance. A hush fell again as the group began to move toward the exit. But the moment they reached the door, a faint vibration ran through the station. The lights flickered for a second. A low alarm pulsed from the corridor outside the diner. The commander stiffened. Something is happening. Customers stood suddenly. The twins held onto their father's coat. Ari gripped her crutches tightly, fear rising in her eyes. Another vibration shook the floor, this one stronger. The commander tapped the device on her wrist. "Control room, report." A voice crackled through. "Commander, we have identified a group of unknown ships approaching the outer ring. They are not responding to hail. Their formation suggests they are searching for something or someone." The father's heart dropped. The twins pressed closer. Ari's breath caught. The commander spoke with urgency. "Are they armed?" A long pause followed. Then the voice returned. "Yes, and they are moving toward docking positions." The commander turned sharply to the father. "We must leave now. They may be looking for the girl." Ari's hands shook violently. "They found me again." The father placed a hand near her shoulder, steady and sure. "You are not alone anymore. You will not face them alone." The commander drew out a small device. "I will escort all of you to a secure level. No one outside my trusted team will know where you are." The father nodded. The twins nodded. Ari took one shaking breath and whispered, "Thank you for not leaving me." They moved together through the diner doors as the alarm continued pulsing. The lights flickered again. The station trembled with the weight of incoming danger. But the father did not let go of his resolve. Ari would not be taken. Not while he stood between her and the darkness. The corridor outside the diner shook again as the group hurried forward. The alarm pulsed through the metal walls in a steady rhythm. Red lights flashed above their heads, painting the long hallway in sharp colors. People rushed in different directions. Some carried bags. Some shouted warnings. Some stared at the commander and the small group she escorted with confusion and fear. Ari held her crutches so tightly that her knuckles turned pale. Her remaining leg trembled with every step. The twins stayed on either side of her, holding onto her sleeves to help her balance. The father walked slightly behind, ready to catch her if she stumbled. The commander stayed ahead, leading them with quick, controlled steps. Every vibration from the station made Ari flinch. Her mind replayed memories of fire, collapsing buildings, and terrified voices from her homeworld. The sound of alarms felt too familiar, too close to the fear she carried. The commander kept speaking into her wrist device. "Control room. Block all access to the lower docks. Divert incoming ships to the outer ring. Increase patrol near sectors 9 and 10. A crackling voice replied. "Unknown ships still ignoring hail. Her engines are charged. They're initiating controlled drift toward the docking rails." The commander swore under her breath. Something she rarely did. "They are positioning for boarding. They want someone inside the station." Ari felt the air slip from her lungs. Her voice came out cracked. "They came for me." The commander slowed her steps and looked back at the frightened girl. "You are not alone now. You will not be taken." The father stepped beside Ari and spoke firmly. "We are here with you." Ari nodded, though her body still shook. She tried to move faster, but pain shot up her leg, and she winced. The father steadied her without touching her, unless she allowed it. She took a breath and whispered, "I do not want anyone hurt because of me," the commander replied quickly. "You did nothing wrong. No one will blame you." But the commander knew the threat was real. The ships outside were not merchants. They were not explorers. Were hunters. They were skilled in tracking lost survivors from the border. The fact that they reached the station so soon meant someone had sent them a signal. Someone knew Ari was alive. They reached a large lift at the end of the corridor. The commander scanned her badge and the doors opened. They stepped inside, and the lift began rising sharply. Ari leaned against the wall, breathing hard. The twins stayed close, their faces full of worry. The father kept his eyes fixed on the numbers climbing above the door. The commander finally spoke with a steady voice. "Ari, I need you to tell me everything you remember about the night you escaped." Ari looked down at the floor of the lift. Pain flickered across her face. "I do not want to remember." The commander softened her tone. "I know it is hard, but it may help us protect you." Ari took a slow breath, then lifted her head. She stared at the metal door for a long moment before speaking. "There was fire everywhere," she said. "People ran through the streets. There were loud blasts from the sky. The council building shook. My father carried me. My mother ran beside us. Then something hit the ground near us. I fell. That is when I lost my leg." The twins gasped softly. The father placed a hand near Ari's shoulder. Ari continued, "I remember a guard lifting me. Ran into a small tunnel. He told me to stay quiet. He told me to stay alive. He locked the door behind me and went back for my parents. Never saw him again." Her voice weakened. "I waited. When the tunnel door broke, I crawled through debris. I followed the river channel behind the city, but I passed many injured people. Some told me to hide. Some told me to keep moving. I reached a ship full of refugees. It took me to a medical post. Then the post ran out of food and medicine. I left because they could not keep everyone. I thought the station would help me." The lift doors opened. The group stepped out into a quieter level of the station. This section was far from the crowd. The walls were reinforced steel. Heavy doors lined the hallway. There were no windows. The air felt calm but serious. The commander led them into a security room with chairs and a long table. She shut the door behind them and locked it manually. "No one knows this room is in use. You will stay here until we learn more about the ships outside." Ari lowered herself into a chair, her hands still shaking. The twins sat beside her. The father stood close, waiting for the commander to continue. The commander opened a small case on the table. Inside were old documents, sealed discs, and printed records. "I have been looking for answers since the attack on the border planet. Many details were hidden. Many records were sealed. But I found one report from a scout who visited the ruins. The report mentioned a council family with one surviving child, a girl with pale hair and blue skin, a girl who did not match any other survivor, a girl who was taken by a guard into a tunnel." Ari looked up slowly. The commander held up a faded photo from the case. The image showed a tall, blue-skinned man with the same pale hair as Ari. He wore ceremonial clothing and held a council symbol. "This was your father," the commander said gently. Ari stared at the photo, her eyes filling with tears. "I thought my mind made up his face. I tried to remember, but it always felt blurry." The commander placed the photo on the table. "Your father was known across the border worlds. He was a leader who believed in peace. He refused to let the attackers use his planet. He refused to support violence. His family was seen as a threat because of that. When the attack came, they wanted to destroy any symbol of peace your family represented." Ari covered her mouth with her hand. "I was only a child." "Why would anyone want to hurt me?" the commander answered with heavy sadness. "Because you are a reminder of everything your father stood for. Some people cannot allow symbols of peace to survive. They think fear and anger give them power." The twins reached forward and held Ari's hands again. "You are not alone anymore," Lyra whispered. Ari nodded weakly. The father stepped closer to the table. "If she is the council child, then the hunters will not stop. They will keep coming." The commander met his gaze. "Yes, but she is not helpless. Neither are we." She turned back to Ari. "I will file new identity protection for you. We'll mark you under station care. No one will move you without my approval." Ari looked uncertain. Will they come inside the station? The commander hesitated only a moment before answering truthfully. They may try. The girls tightened their grip on Ari's hands. The father spoke firmly. We will protect her. She is safe with us. The commander nodded. I believe you. And I will assign trusted officers to guard this level. A sudden loud thud shook the walls. The lights flickered again. Ari jumped, almost falling from her chair. The commander pressed her wrist device. What happened? A panicked voice answered. Commander, 2 of the unknown ships have docked at the lower rails. They are cutting into the station hull. They're coming in. The father stepped in front of Ari without thinking. The commander stood tall, her voice steel strong. Everyone stay behind me. No one touches that child. Ari stared at the door with wide, terrified eyes. The hunters had arrived. They were already inside the station. The security room fell silent after the alarming message. Everyone inside felt the weight of the words. 2 unknown ships had docked without permission. Attackers were already cutting into the station hull. The threat was no longer distant. It was here. Ari held the sides of her chair as the floor gave a slight vibration under her feet. She looked around the room with frightened eyes. The commander stood firm near the door. The father stepped between Ari and the hallway, his posture steady. The twins clung to each other, then clung to Ari, refusing to leave her side. Another thud hit the metal walls, this time louder. A faint groan from the station structure echoed through the room. The father asked, keeping his voice calm, Commander, how long before they reach this level? The commander tapped her wrist device, listening to updates from her team. The attackers are splitting into 2 groups. One is heading for the upper control hub, the other is moving toward this wing. They are searching for something, or someone. Ari looked down. They came for me. The father placed a hand near her shoulder. They will not take you, Lyra whispered to Ari. We will not let them near you. Kira nodded, her voice firm. We stay together. Ari felt her heart beating fast. But the twins' small hands gave her strength. She did not know she had left. The commander moved quickly to a storage unit in the corner. She opened it and pulled out 2 shield plates, a small energy rod, and an old emergency barrier projector. This room can hold for a short time, but not if they bring cutting tools. We must move before they reach this floor, the father asked. Where do we go? The commander replied. There is a hidden maintenance shaft behind the far wall. Only senior officers know about it. It leads to the deep engineering core. Few people go down there. It is one of the safest places during lockdown. Ari swallowed hard. Will we be safe there? Safer than here? The commander said. The room shook again. This time, dust fell from the ceiling. The energy lights flickered. A faint echo of shouting from lower levels carried through the air. The commander unlocked the far wall panel and pulled it open. Behind it was a narrow metal tunnel with dim lights running along the top. Quickly, all of you. The father helped Ari to her feet. She leaned heavily on her crutches, but her determination was strong. The twins rushed ahead into the tunnel, then turned back to help Ari step inside. As they moved, Ari winced when her leg touched the tunnel edge. The father guided her carefully, keeping one hand ready in case she slipped. The commander checked the hallway one last time before sealing the wall panel behind them. Inside the tunnel, the air was cooler and quieter. The sound of alarms became muffled. The twins walked in front, guiding Ari through the narrow passage. The father walked beside her. The commander followed at the back, making sure no one came behind them. Ari whispered, I am slowing all of you. The father shook his head. You are the reason we are here. We move at your pace. The twins smiled back at her. We walked together. Ari blinked fast, touched by their words. As they made their way along the tunnel, the commander spoke softly. Ari, you must understand something important. Many people across the border believed in your father. They believed in peace. They believed unity was possible. Some still do. If they learned you survived, you could inspire hope. Ari looked confused. I do not understand. I am not a leader. I am not strong. The commander replied, Strength is not only found in warriors. Sometimes it is found in survivors who refuse to give up. Ari thought about this, her steps slow and steady. She remembered the guard who saved her. She remembered every stranger who helped her during her journey. Maybe she did carry something that mattered. But before she could speak, the tunnel shook violently. The metal walls groaned. Everyone stopped. The father held Ari tightly to keep her from falling. The commander whispered, "They have entered this level." Far away, but echoing through the metal, the faint sound of boots striking the floor reached their ears. Sharp voices followed. These were not station officers. These were hunters. The commander motioned everyone to move again. "Faster. We must reach the engineering shaft before they find this tunnel." Ari tried to move faster, but pain shot through her leg. She bit down hard, determined not to cry out. The twins each took one of her hands and helped her keep balance. The father asked quietly, "Commander, how far is the shaft?" "Not far," she replied, though her tone carried urgency. A faint click echoed behind them. The commander froze. She turned slowly. They found the entrance. The group moved faster. The twins urged Ari to keep going. The father stayed close, prepared to carry her if needed. Voices now echoed behind them in the tunnel. Harsh voices, commanding voices. "Spread out. She is close. Find the child." Ari stumbled, fear rising. "They found me. They will take me again." The father crouched beside her. "Look at me. I promised you are not alone. I will keep that promise." Ari breathed in slowly, her courage growing from the warmth in his words. The commander pressed a small code on her wrist device. A hidden door ahead of them slid open, revealing a ladder going down into a deeper chamber. "Go," now she ordered. The twins climbed down first, and the father carefully guided Ari to the ladder. She gripped her crutches tightly, then handed them to the father and began her slow descent. She shook with fear, but did not stop. The father followed behind her, making sure she did not slip. As the father reached the bottom with Ari, the commander remained at the top of the ladder. She shut the upper hatch and activated 3 locks. Shouts rang out above. "She is in this section. Break it open." Ari panicked. "Commander, come down. It will get you." But the commander shook her head. "It will not break through in time. And if they try, I will lead them away." The father looked up. "You are risking everything." The commander gave a rare, soft smile. "Some lives are worth protecting." She climbed down the ladder and shut the lower hatch. The group now stood in the engineering core, a wide chamber filled with thick pipes, humming generators, and heavy reactor shielding. The air was warm and smelled like metal and steam. The commander pointed toward a reinforced alcove. "We stay here. Hunters avoid reactor zones because of radiation warnings. They will not search deeply." Ari leaned on her crutches, breathing fast but steady. "Why are they so determined to take me?" The commander crouched down to be at her level. "Because you are the last voice of your home. If your father's vision is remembered through you, their power weakens. They want to silence hope." Ari blinked. "I did not know hope could be dangerous," the father said quietly. "Hope scares those who want fear to rule." The commander nodded. "Your survival threatens their plans. That is why you matter." Ari looked at the twins holding her hands. She looked at the father standing beside her. She looked at the commander who risked her life for her. And for the first time, she believed she might be important. A sudden crash echoed above. Metal screamed. The hunters had reached the upper tunnel. The commander raised her shield device. They found the hatch. They will search the shaft next. The twins huddled close to Ari. The father stood ready. Ari's breath shook. But something unexpected happened. A new voice crackled through the commander's wrist device. "Commander, reinforcement units have arrived. We secured the lower docks. We disabled the attackers' ships. We are pushing their forces back." The commander exhaled with relief. "Hold them. Do not let any reach the engineering sector." The voice replied, "We will. Secure the child." Ari covered her mouth, tears forming. "They are leaving," the commander nodded. "They are being forced to retreat." The father kneeled beside Ari. "You are safe." The twins hugged her tightly. "We protected you," Ari cried softly into their shoulders. But these tears were not only fear, they were release, they were hope. Hours later, when the alarms finally stopped and the attackers were taken into custody, The commander escorted the group back to a stable section of the station. News spread fast across every deck. A lost council child had survived. A human family protected her. Station stood united because of her presence. Ari looked at the father and whispered, "Thank you for giving me a place at your table." He smiled gently. "You have a place with us for as long as you want it." The twins took her hands again. "You are family now." And for the first time since the night her world burned, Ari felt safe. She felt seen.